Making this small video to show people in comparison to Tint's drone video just how possible it is and the different types of elevations as you're hovering. I don't know what it would be, maybe 1,000 feet above the ground. But you can see, we take a trip. This is the Google Maps view. And he takes a trip around the property, and I'm going to highlight because there's been some question about this particular neighbor of Daniel's right here, even in my own chat. Well, let's get this straight right now. This is a house, and somebody has occupied it, whether it's occupied full-time or it is a cottage, somebody's bush property. It's somebody's house, and they're living in it. It's not an abandoned empty building by any means. We see that clearly, both of these residences. It's just that it's obscure the way that you can access it. Now, we come with the drone and just sit right above this, and you can see over the drone. And then what the drone does is, just for a slight moment, we're going to pick it up, but it goes towards the horizon, the camera. And you can see how everything in that area really is within earshot. And there's several people that can hear this. They could have heard it. So we're talking about, and there's just people talking in chat about the neighbors and how far away they exactly were. And people are trying to get a picture in their head. Well, that's what we're doing in a way with this drone footage from Tint. Now you can see the white canopy. Or maybe I'll just go back a little bit. It's a lot easier. You can see on this map where he traveled, okay? And we're just going to bounce around it for the sake of keeping a more sharp, shorter video. So there he's taking off in his DJ-1 Air 3, May 25th, 2025 at 9 a.m. It's a little bit foggy, misty out there, but he's up and down Lansdowne Lake. This, you can see the drone on your video, or on the topographic map. So right here, right about where he turns this way is where we're going to pick up the video. And that's roughly, about 6 minutes in from his start. So it's about 6 minutes and whatever plus 14 seconds after this is done. So it's 6 minutes plus 25 seconds. So 40, 50, 60, it'll be around the 7-minute mark. But what you can see when he stops there is you can see a shot of Daniel Martell's house. Now, he does spend a lot of time facing straight down, but we're going to take the opportunities where he pans the camera up to the horizon. I'll pause it and we'll have a better look at it. And you can see it in reference. And he goes all the way down to what I have marked as Earl Martell's. Now, it's all within 1.25 miles of each other. And what it looks like, and what it sounds like, is, if the information is correct, that everything that occurred that night with all of the trips happened within this area, really. Now, if we zoom in, he talks about the train tracks. The train tracks is just down the road from the road that we're going to identify. Now, it's a gravel road, but there's the train track and the crossing right there. Earl Martell's house is just down here. 500 meters in there is a boot print, which is about somewhere back in there. Now, this is what I have as Earl Martell's house right here. It's a place with a bunch of shit laying outside of it, all kinds of equipment. That's Earl, I believe. And the drone comes back to the back of the property into this clearing and faces for a great amount of time the back of this property, and you can see it. And you can see this road, and this road goes to the corner of which one of the neighbors heard Daniel, specifically Daniel, that night, he says. But I thought it was interesting just because it came up yesterday to remind you guys that whoever is up in there, and we still don't know who that is, can see right down in through the bush. And you can see the drone and I'll point it out in the video that's coming up, just the road that we see. And he likes to, in this drone shot, Tint, follow this little trail out here, and you can get a good sense from when he pans up to the horizon, each spot, exactly the distance, really, for a reference for yourself. All right, so I'll fast forward to about the 7-minute mark. You can see there. Here we start coming into it right here. We'll go right up to this foggy area. We'll start here at 4:08. I've got it slowed down. So it starts to pan out. We'll wait till it goes up and I'll press pause. It's a little misty right there. But there you can see where we're going. There's the house right there and the tops of the roofs of the neighbor of Daniel. And there's a corner of Garlock Road. You can just see on the top left the blue of the trailer, like the off-white. So we're just coming up to the back part of their property. And again, right there, there is another building up there that's back in neighbors' properties. Maybe there's an access road back up in there across from where Landown Lake is. So there's people right up over there. So this road right here is going to be this right here. So he's right about down in here. And he's looking down at this road in the back of the beginning of Landown Lake and that whole marshy area back in there. He's looking where I have neighbor with a question mark and then Jack and Lily. So, like, even when he's up there 500 feet or so, I don't know what his elevation is, but it's not very far between. Like, you get a good idea of how close things are around there. There's his neighbors. We're going to fly over that big, tall, peaked building in a second. Looks like somebody's home. No, they both look like somebody's home. Now, I don't know what's going on, whether one's a shop and see there you could have a good image of that house back there. Just go back just a tad. Here we go. He's got a propane tank out in his driveway for heating. It looks to be a fairly, right there, a well-maintained building. You can zoom in on it to take a screenshot, but you see that that's somebody's home. Right there, and you see a propane tank out there in the bush. Quite possibly somebody could have been there that night, absolutely. People are in my chat wanting to talk about how that building is empty and there's nobody in there. Bull crap. Not true. Both of these buildings look inhabited. Now there's a corner of Garlock Road just out in front, and that's a big bend, kind of a tall of up the hill from where Daniel is. This is a higher elevation. There's a good shot of it there. Whoop. Oh, geez, you hit the wrong button. Hold on. I do that. Do that again. So we're back up on the corner of Lansdowne Lake Road there, whatever it's called. There's the neighbor's peak of the house, and we're going to float over there on this drone. I'm going to attempt to pause it in the right spot, and you can see down by where the train tracks are just how close things are right in there. You can count the people that live in the area on your hand. So it could only be so many people coming and going that night. You get used to where you are in your geolocation. Again, I paused it right there, and you can see the peak of that home to the bottom left. And again, looks like somebody's cabin or somebody's full-time house up in there. Looks like a nice, cool little spot to live, actually. Aside from the shitty neighbors, just briefly right there, if you go back a couple frames, he just had it. So he's going to pan up and keep your eyes on the top of the screen. I'll try to capture it. He's quick. We're right there. Don't move. Look at how close in that shot behind Daniel. So Daniel is about 300 meters to the right. Look at the next road down there is Lansdown Station Road. That comes kitty corner up by Lansdowne Road, right where the railroad tracks are. And it crosses Garlock. So there's the two houses up in there. Now, I'm not saying anyone number of these people are, I don't know who lives in these houses. I'm just trying to paint a picture for you as to how possible and how plausible the circumstances are in this. It's not like you think rule and you're trying to paint a picture in your head through somebody else's words. Well, we're having a first-hand eagle's eye look here. So there in the top, in the same frame, that's fairly close. And it looks down in between these two places. It looks to be of a lower elevation and a hill on the other side. So there's a hill going up on the other side and a hill coming up to where these individuals are, with Garlock Road in there, and even further down and sloped down onto a lower sea level, lower level of elevation, will be a river that goes through there, like a little watershed. So they'll live elevated from that. And even though you're 500, 600 meters away or a kilometer away, sometimes people's properties get built on the hill, built on the high part of the land. And that can differ, even though, it's not like it's all uniform and flat. It's rolly, hilly. Not to mention the earthworks that we do ourselves when we build these homes. You generally want to build them on the high spots of your lot. But that's dependent on the geolocations right around you. Remember, these roads were engineered in a way that's not just like plop a car on any old. It's been engineered. It's been flattened, leveled, dug down, angled. Ditches dug. Great shot of the neighbors right there. So yeah, there's a great shot of the neighbors right there. That doesn't look like he's home right at that point in time, maybe, but it looks like it's being lived in. So, of course, there's that road between that old logging access road in between Daniel and Janie's property and that particular neighbors. This one, that one right here. This stretch of road that you're looking at. Now there you can see the trailer. There's Janie's trailer right there on the top of your screen. In the backyard, and there's a snow fence. There's a car coming down the road there. Slow. They're real slow. Zooming in on Janie's trailer. And that's the area Janie says that she walked up and checked that particular day. There's a good shot of the backyard of Daniel and Janie. Anybody home? Is it okay to have some visitors? Do you mind if we drop by? Maybe I can have some of the snacks that you gave Lily and Jack on that Thursday you claimed, Janie. What did you give them? Probably dog treats and smokes. So what he's going to do with his... So there's Garlock Road in their front yard. So what Tint's going to do is he's going to fly off to the right and go back into the backwoods of the property and circle back around and come back in facing the opposite way on the opposite side of this particular home. Because you get discombobulated. He does some spinning up there, but we'll pause it in the appropriate spots. We can have a look and you can get a feel for what exactly is going on, because if he's, listen, talking about him driving down to Earl Martell's road in that sense, being quiet for 2 minutes. This was all, it was more specifically pointed out in the Globe and Mail, and I've got those screenshots. I borrowed them from Daphne, of course. Like, we just went through just showing his neighbor from here to here, okay? But this distance, which as the crow flies is only about 150 meters. You go 150 meters the other way and you're almost at the corner. You're down by the railroad tracks. And another 150 meters this way, we saw these individuals' backyards. When he panned up these houses right here. I'm in a 2D view. But it's this little patch of groundwork that we can see. Right back in there is what we were looking at. And he's going to zoom out, come out in here where roughly I have all of this lined out, and you can see that. You can get this link in the description of this video. But he's going to come all the way back out, and he's going to zoom in on this house right here, and I've got it tagged as Earl Martell's place. I'm pretty sure it is because he's into all kinds of junk and shit. But check out the access right across from his place. And he's got the tracks, the railroad tracks that go right behind his house too, through the bush. You can't see them that clearly from the video, of course. But don't forget that just this side of that road you see is the railroad tracks. Pink blanket in the trees was down here. So it's this little area that's in question. And right up, where's that New Lairg Road? You go way back here, right down to this point is where the neighbor heard his vehicle coming to and siding off of this road right here. Up by those abandoned mine shafts. So we just went past it right there. You could see Earl Martell's on the bottom right there. And coming right up to it, we panned over and scanned the horizon coming across from Lansdowne Lake down Garlock. And you can see where the railway crossing is down by Lansdown Station Road. So I'll just go back a little bit and you can see it again. Not that you can get too much because he's just at that angle, but you can see really what the geolocale looks like. So there is across the street from Lansdowne Station Road, that red-topped building. You can kind of see sketched out the corner where the space is in between the bush and the road, winding downhill in front of Daniel's place. There's Earl's place right down there. There he is. Why don't you be a man? Why don't you be a man? You think old Earl is in there cursing that buzzing thing up in the sky looking at him? He's out there paranoid AF. Why don't you be a man? Come on down here to Earth. Come on down here to terra firma, pal. Put down the camera. You the one that stole them there kids? Old crazy Earl. He's sitting there staring at him. May as well go back and just check there, just to show you and reference what we're talking about. That's this place right here, Earl's house. We'll go back and look at it like this. So when you zoom out, look at it. You're looking at the back of this particular property right here that I have labeled Earl's house. There's the railroad track in behind him. Looks like it crosses over what would be a pipeline trail there. Or maybe a hydro line. I don't think I saw a hydro line. Probably the gas pipeline. So he was said to have come down and made a crossing or stopped down here for 2 minutes, which would be just enough time to scoot down to Earl's perhaps and back, and you wouldn't be able to hear the road noise or exactly see the lights necessarily from the individual's perspective. We don't know. But all of these individuals would have been able to hear it. You could hear all the traffic coming down that because it's a big old hill. You get used to seeing lights in the distance, what they reflect off of shine. I mean, it's a plausible story from these individuals, no doubt. Sorry, Daniel. He wants to dismiss it as utter nonsense, though, which is just funny. Come on, we wouldn't expect anything less. So right there, just before there, you saw where the railroad tracks cross Garlock. We'll just go back a tad. You can see it again. He just hits it. There it is right there. There's a railroad crossing across the road. Looks like there's a dog on it actually right now. Then you can turn right and take that right down to Earl's. So that's the corner. And that's in very close proximity, within 150, 200 meters of old Daniel's place. There's Garlock Road right there. Landown Station Road right there. And there's Daniel's house right to your left. Here, I'll move my plaids. There it is right there. See? You can see them up in their cars in the driveway right there. So there was all kinds of activities that particular night, according to these eyewitnesses. That one mentioned going down there, down by where Earl lives on that road, down by Landown Station Road, across the railroad tracks, and in the same breath, way up, turned around, took that hill all the way up here to New Lairg Road. This one here with the 4 abandoned mine shafts on it, and God knows what else is up down it this way. St. Andrew's Church, Garlock, they probably have a cemetery. Up into New Garlock in Millbrook. And that's a great shot. Thank you very much, Tint, for the use of the video. Let me know what you guys are talking about down in the comment section below. I thought I'd just make this little video because, yeah, there's all kinds of questions that come up, and people want to talk about things in ways that it's difficult to conceptualize often. Now you have a lot better of an idea after taking a look at the landscape. Peace.